Well, I know everybody's kind of a little strapped for time, so I thank you all for joining me here in the spoiler room. We're here to talk to the cast folks out there of Butterflies. We have a number of the members here tonight. It's a new drama, I would say, that is independent drama. It's still looking for a distribution, but if it's anything like what I watched, I'm sure they will get it quick. So why don't we go around and everybody can introduce themselves so they have a name to a voice. Alex, let's start with you.
Hi, my name is Alex Lecca, and I play Max in the movie Butterflies.
Hi, my name is Sarah Catherine Bellamy, and I play Beckett.
Hello, my name is Kennedy Porter, and I play Tommy.
Fantastic. So it's a little bit different for me doing it with three people, but we can definitely work with this. So this is based off of a book called Party by Tom Levine. And I guess look, Alex has the book.
He does his research.
So did you all have to read the book before you went into the movie?
No. They did not require us to read it, but some people like to go above and beyond their characters.
I'm weird about those things. I have like a really weird strategy behind how I like. I don't like I don't like reading something about like that's supposed to be based on the movie we're doing right before. I like to kind of make it more of a. I don't know. I'm one of those people. If I read it, it's almost like it's in my brain that way, so I won't be able to really pick and piece where I want other things to be, if that makes sense. But
I did
read it after, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I read it before I read the script. I read it on the airplane on the way to California to film. When I got the booking, I bought the book right on Amazon, like right after, and then that Amazon Prime to me 2 days later, and then I just wanted to, kind of put face to name of all the characters, kind of see where Tom Levine was going. Everyone's parts. So yeah, it was a great read.
Great. And yeah, it seems like it was a very popular book as well. And the movie is very interesting. It caught me off guard. I went into it pretty much cold. And when it first starts, Alex, you're with your buddy. Max is with his buddy. And at first I thought it was going to be kind of a comedy, but then we get introduced to Kat's character, and you immediately realize this isn't a comedy. And then we
maybe a dramedy,
and then we go to Tommy. we introduce to Tommy, Kennedy's character, and you're like, okay, this is completely different. Kennedy, what drew you to this character, Tommy?
I kind of saw a lot of myself in him. Like the type of guy who really, wants the best for his friends. And, although he wants the best, he sometimes doesn't offer the best advice and, the best advice. But, at the end of the day, his intentions are pure. He wants to see his good buddy happier. And we all want our friends to be happy.
Aw, yeah, and we do definitely. And now, Kat, what about you for your character, Beckett? She's one of the heaviest characters as far as emotion-wise in this film.
Yeah, I really had to dig deep within, and honestly, back to my past, because people, when they meet me, probably think like, oh, she has such this good life, blah, blah. But my past is a completely different story. And even Kevin, when he brought me onto this project with Ryan, was like, I don't know if this is really you, but blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I read the script and I called him and I was like, I guess you just don't know me, huh? But, I really had to dig deep into just putting myself in a position, especially in this day and age where these kind of things happen more often than we know. And we go to school and we judge people based on the clothes they wear, not knowing anything about their family life or what they go through. So I kind of did a lot of research just upon kids like that and their struggles and just the awkwardness and the fidgeting and those kind of things. And it took me a long time to really, it still does. Even when I watch myself on camera, it's like my brain's in this completely different place. But I would say I pictured my little sister in this position, and it really that really helped me because it was hard to get that emotional on my own if I didn't think about at least someone I loved or cared about. But yeah, even when I think about it, it makes me like shake because she's such a like disturbing character. But yeah.
And then kind of completely opposite of disturbing and bro like, we have Max, played by Alex. Max, what did you do to what drew you to this character?
Yeah, so when I originally got the breakdown for it, it had every single character listed. So I saw all the different perspectives. Then I saw the one for Max, and I'm pretty sure it said on the breakdown, it was like young Jonah Hill. And I was like, ding, ding, ding. Like, I swear to God, it said like channeling young Jonah Hill. And I was like, that's literally what I do. Like everything I do, I inspired. He's just kind of like the foundation and building block, for acting, because we're kind of in the same huskier kind of guy and the very similar style. So that's what really drew me to it. I'm like, wow, like this is something, I feel like I fit the glove for in the mold. And, it was really cool having all the different perspectives, to be able to bring some kind of comedic presence to a very heavy subject, which I was, glad to bring some lightness to kind of counteract some of the heaviness that, Sarah, I never called you Sarah before. Kat,
So many names.
Beckett. So it was a lot of fun.
I was gonna say you're probably out of all the characters, and no offense to anyone here, but of all the characters, you were like the guy who seemed the least amount of like extreme problems or whatnot. You were kind of the nice guy, the kind of the almost like the audience anchor of sorts to where
just the affinity I had with Beckett. So that was kind of my whole end game was how can I FaceTime with Beckett at this party. So that was kind of I didn't come with any
Lover
deeper
boy.
backstory, but like lover boy. So
now Kennedy, for you with the group that you had, did you know any of the people in the group before you got in there? Because
No.
there seemed to be a really good chemistry. How did you guys prep? Did you kind of hang out beforehand? Did you do any kind of thing like that?
Honestly, not really. I mean, prior to shooting days, I think I'd only seen them in person like maybe twice, and that was only for like a couple hours, and it was really just doing the scenes and stuff, and then once over Zoom. But like when we got in the room together, it was just instant chemistry, kind of just
Yeah.
like it was meant to be.
What was your first impression of everyone, Kennedy?
What do you mean? Well, I mean, I'm a people person, so thought everyone was funny, great. But honestly, I'll be honest though, I was a little intimidated because this was my first like full length feature. So like I pulled up, I was like, dang, everybody's gonna be so experienced, which they were, but I was just like, dang, I don't know if I can do this. It was kind of jarring at first.
Well, you pulled it off very well, and I liked that camaraderie you had in there, even with the dark conversation that you have when we first are introduced to you. It's like wasn't quite sure where it was going to go with this, because again, I think people might go into this film, especially if you watch the trailer and that, with a little bit of not false pretenses, but not realizing just how heavy this film gets. Because this film, it almost reminded me a bit of Kids in a way. I don't know if any of you have seen Kids, but
Yeah.
I mean, that was a really heavy movie. I mean, really emotionally, like realistically portraying kids, a younger, teens in that doing adult things and really going to a level you didn't expect. And that's what you had here. And I liked that quite a bit. Is that kind of what appealed to you, Kat, when you got into this? Was it the fact that there's a lot of actual real world issues addressed here, but they seem to be addressed carefully?
Yeah. And it also made it easier for me to dive into the character. And like when it came to tears or when it came to, putting yourself in that position, it's like when you open your phone up, the first thing I see, even if I'm on TikTok or some, lighthearted app, it's so-and-so killed themselves at this high school today, or this is going on, or this is going on. And people grow up with no families, no parents, and they kind of have to, because Beckett's character, I don't know if you realized or, caught on to it, is she's pretty much raising herself alone. Like she has nobody. That's why she's always in the same clothes, everything like that. And so, yeah, knowing that these kind of things happen every day today really helped me. It was really sad to think about and helped me dive into it on an easier level.
Sure. And I can see that quite a bit through your character, and well, through all of your characters, though. You all deal with common high school problems. I mean, Alex, you're the guy kind of continuously, you've had that extensive pining for the one, the one girl, and you finally decide that one night's the night. And I liked that with your character. Did you draw any influences? You mentioned Jonah Hill, but like past experiences or anything, maybe from high school or whatnot, for your character Max?
I see we're both very similar people.
Mhm.
I love to be kind of like just the clown. I
Yeah.
love to just bring comedy to everything, no matter what the subject matter is.
Mhm.
I also graduated as well that same year, so I was kind of pulling on, especially during COVID. I graduated. We ended classes in March, so we kind of never got that like goodbye or that formal. Well, this is it,
Mhm.
see ya reunion. So and I think I was able to really channel that since we're getting the opportunity in this film that that a lot of kids that are graduating now aren't getting to really the opportunity to explore. So that was really cool because it's funny. I didn't get to walk for graduation, but in this film, Brett and I are seniors, so be able to graduate basically in film and not in real life. So,
Were you graduating high school?
college.
Oh, I was like, wait, whoa.
How old are you?
Like, don't you own a house and live alone? What's going on?
No, it was cool that I was able to play out that
Yeah.
last party before adulthood that we weren't able to
Not
get.
Alex. Trying to be like,
I'm drawing out my personal things. So I didn't get to see there, so if I'm gonna live vicariously through Max, and so be it. But I was able to draw on a lot. Just on,
Mhm.
I felt like an affinity for Max, and I were really the same person.
Yeah, well, what I liked about Max too is he liked Beckett, but it didn't feel like like Max was going to like save Beckett. You just had a crush on her, or you've had feelings for her, but it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna be with Beckett because I'm gonna make her better. I like the way that was written
He
because
had good intentions. He really was intentional and just being a good person and being a lifeline for her. So yeah, he really didn't have any sort of agenda when it came towards Becky. He just really just had a crush on her. What's that?
So pure, intentional.
so pure compared to your
thank God you liked me, huh?
Yeah, and Brett, who plays by Jordy Tilliners, we're polar opposites in the film. He's very nefarious in nature, as you can see how he treats Aziz. He's just very negative. And it's funny how we were childhood best friends in the movie, but we're super different ends of the spectrum when it comes to, the way we interact and treat people. But hey, we're best friends. That's how it is sometimes.
I love that they did that too, though, because I think it's cool to show people, and especially young people, that like it's okay to be friends with somebody that's not just like you or that isn't on like the same level as you. Like Jordy plays a gay character in the movie, and Max is in love with me, and it just shows that like two boys, homies, can connect on a friendship and not have to be like homophobic or anything. Like, you know what I mean? Thought that was cool.
True that, yeah.
It's a really cool dynamic we had.
Yeah.
And you've had that in high school as well. I mean, but I got the impression that your counterpart, he actually was overcompensating for things, that his character was hiding from people, because you get that party scene where he meets up with the football player and suddenly he's like, oh, hey,
Mhm.
looking for acceptance to it. That felt so like high school. I was at so many parties where I've seen people like that.
Creating a facade, kind of just hide behind who you really are, and that's something you really don't want to share. Which
I'm trying to fit in too as well,
Mhm.
hang out with the cool kids.
Well, and especially for him, because you him and Max both had graduated. You're kind of out of that life already, but you're still kind of hanging on to it too.
Mm-hmm.
Which
only Max and I are seniors. Everyone else is a junior. So
Mhm.
I think he was just trying to reel for like that kind of like last kind of like lifeline, that I'm a part of everyone, and I just have to like make it known to everyone that, you know, we're the big guys on campus, and that's how he creates that facade.
Speaking of big guys on campus, Kennedy, Tommy hangs out with some guys who feel that they're big guys on campus as well.
Yeah.
You know, your character felt kind of like the grounded anchor, whereas because Josh usually is, as they mentioned the character, but he's going through that breakup. So your character seemed to kind of take that over. Is that the kind of dynamic you're going for? Is that you had to be that anchor because everybody else was like, they want to kill her?
Yeah, Mark. It was like kind of feeling like he was the second in command, like the colonel to the general. Is that the right one? I think so.
Yeah.
But like, yeah. So, you know, Josh is the one, like I said in the film, he's the one that holds us down, that whenever we're having our issues. And you know, he's going through his love thing. So his hormones are all messed up. And when your hormones are messed up, you can't make proper decisions. So I step in and I have to make the decisions for us. So yeah, it's like that dynamic. And like that's something I talked to Kevin about when we were first starting shooting. I was like, what is the dynamic you see with these two characters? And that was pretty much exactly what he said. I was like, okay, how can I best embody that? And yeah, made it work.
Well, it does come across on screen. So yeah, you do definitely make it work. And Kat, your character, I realized just thinking about it as we're sitting here talking to this again, thank you so much for being here. But your character pretty much is on her own for most of the film. You're not really with anybody for most of the film. You know, how did that work shooting? I mean, because a lot of your scenes are solo or just with one other person.
Yeah. You know, filming this movie brought me back to like when I first started acting class, and they would just hand you monologue after monologue and be like, coach, I want to do a scene. And they're like, no, this will help you. And I'm like, what's a monologue going to do for me? And then I'm like thinking, and I'm like, wait, this whole movie is what my acting coach was talking about that I never studied for. But I'm glad you say that, because it was extremely, extremely hard having to try to connect to, because, you know, most people don't talk to themselves that much. And most people, or at least on films, it's more of like a narration and not you looking directly into a camera lens, trying to make the audience feel like you're talking to them, which was really hard for me to figure out how to do or maneuver. But I finally just had to realize, okay, this camera is God, or somebody that you just can't see, that you talk to. I almost like I was praying the whole movie, like talking to God or something. And so I kind of looked at it like that, or talking to her mom, because a lot of the movie is her, you know, trying to get signs from her mom that passed away. And, you know, she found her dad, and her dad was never really around. And so, yeah, I just kind of used it as like, I'm talking to my mom, who's now like an angel, or just some figure that makes me feel warm. And yeah, just it was awkward for a while. It was awkward. I was so scared to watch the film back, knowing that I talked to the camera half of the movie. I mean, Kennedy too. I think me and you have the most monologues in the movie, where we're looking directly into the lens.
Like
yeah, I've never done anything like that before. So it was cool to see it play out. I'm still a little like weird about it when I watch myself do it. I'm like, who are you talking to, girl? Like, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't think people realize that that's actually probably much of a challenge for an actor. Max, Alex, sorry, you even get looking at the camera a lot. For you, what did you kind of draw, or how did you handle talking straight to the camera?
It was actually funny. I don't have any breaking the fourth wall in the film at all.
Oh, really? I thought you did. I
don't.
Sworn. Oh, no, you don't. I apologize. No, I know. I fail.
No, in the original novel, I do break the fourth wall.
Oh, okay.
But in the film, I didn't. I don't know if that was intentional, but I think Brent really did most of the work, because we're always, you know, as a duo. I think Brent really kind of overpowered whatever Max was thinking in that scenario.
That's probably where I got that from. Then I apologize for my mistake. No, you're right. Brent talks for Max quite a bit, but it almost almost seems like he's talking for you, and the way your dialogue comes across too. It almost seems occasionally like you're talking to the audience, but you are just talking to Brent. So, but what about you, Kennedy? What did you pull from, or how did you handle breaking that fourth wall? Because yeah, as Kat said, you get the most dialogue looking in the camera.
Like Kat, this was honestly my first time ever doing anything like that. Like I honestly, I've never really done monologues except for like auditions maybe. But a lot of, I think something that really helped me get through it was having something to do. Like in the beginning, like when the first monologue I'm having, I'm like smoking a cig, and I feel like if I'm focusing on like what's around me, it takes my attention off like just staring at a camera, like delivering lines. You know what I'm saying? So that took a lot of the nerves out of it. And yeah, and honestly, just countless hours of talking to myself in my bedroom at night really helped.
Well,
Yeah,
and I imagine it's challenging too, because it's not only you're staring at the camera, you have at least 2 or 3 people staring back at you behind
exactly.
the camera.
They're like sweating super hard, like we got to get this take, and I'm just like trying to keep my cool, like.
I'm sure you have Kevin staring at the monitor like, oh, I hope we get this shot. And you're
There's also like a knife behind the camera, like you better get this take right. I swear, it's 4 a.m. We got to go home.
You see, if you look at Kevin in the background, you can't look at Kevin because he'll be like, and then when you stop, he's like, fuck yeah. And then he's like, can you do it again? While we're like bawling, crying in the middle of a monologue. Come on.
That's exactly
like,
what he does.
He gets so
Kevin the
excited.
Goofball. He's funny.
Oh, there was such a good scene too that got cut where Kevin was like, how do we get that on camera? So there's the beginning part of the movie where Max and Brent are walking out of the convenience store. So we're behind, the camera's attached to a truck, and we're just like walking in the middle of this road, like an active road. And this is like a busy like California, like suburban. I mean, it's like a 4-way street, and out of nowhere, Jordy, who plays Brent, just like decks it, like just runs across a 4-way intersection. And I was like looking for the truck. I'm like, was that intentional, or like what are you doing? And then halfway through, he's like, just do it, pussy. I'm like, no. And it was so like real, because I'm like, are you really running across the street right now? Like, this is like prop cars coming by. And I remember I ran across the street after the car. It's funny, the car actually stopped. It was like, you can go. It's like, he saw Brent, and I was like, thank you so much. And then after I got to the street, Kevin was like, that was really like the funniest thing I've ever seen. And it didn't make me, I don't think. I was so Max. I wanted to see it on camera so bad, but it was so natural in the way that we did it. I actually was like scared for my life. I'm like, I'm not going to like intersection. Yeah, that was really fun.
The joys of indie filmmaking, for sure. So I want to go around. I was wondering, you mentioned breaking the fourth wall. We'll start with you, Alex. What would you find was your most challenging scene?
The most challenging scene. It definitely was the scene on the boardwalk. I'm pretty sure, just because of like kind of the external things. Like it was like 34 degrees out, and do you remember that night? It was like 4:30 a.m. in the morning. It was like 4:30 a.m.
I can't forget.
Do you remember that night, Kat? It was on the beach. I remember there was a scene of us. We were just sitting on that swing set until like 4:30 in the morning. Like the sun was about to come up at that point. We still didn't film yet. I was just like, I was like shivering. So I was in just a long sleeve t-shirt, and I'm like, it didn't really fit the context of it being like also the wind chill on that boardwalk. It was like dipping into like high 20s, like low 30s. I was freezing, and that was a really hard scene to coordinate because we're talking, and then you're walking by us up top, and then just coordinating because we had those tall boys too. Like we were also like ripping the shots. So it was really, we only had like 4 shots and there's water in them, but like it was just making sure the timing was perfect and everything. I also feel like, I was pretty vulnerable there talking about like what's wrong with me, and like why can't Beckett's character see, what I, feel for her and all that stuff. I feel like I was getting very vulnerable with Brent, who, kind of just retaliates, being like, well, just like kind of being mean and selfish, and really didn't have to listen to what I had to say. So I think that was one of the hardest scenes. And also the ending scene, because we filmed that entire like last 12 minutes in one continuous shot. that was like a coordinated thing we had to do for like 8 hours. I don't know how to do that.
Wow.
Like I remember Morgan had to walk out with Josh, and then Ashley, and then Savannah's character, and then it coordinated to you walking up, and then I was right there, and then the ambulances came for that scene, and then it was just like literally like a well-oiled mechanic machine, and how the camera just it was like
I couldn't even speak the next day. My voice was completely gone because all I was doing was yelling like 100 times over Aziz!
And then it's like just one continuous scene. So that was super hard to film because if you messed up, I would be scared of Kevin already. It's late 4 a.m. in the morning now. I'm like, you better get this right. So that was a pretty hard scene to film.
Yeah.
So it was really fun.
What about you, Kat? Was that your hardest scene, or what was your most challenging scene, would you say?
No, I would say my most challenging scene would be where I'm on the bridge thinking about killing myself, just because I am a super like blessing and a curse empathetic person. So if I put my head in somebody else's shoes, it's like, you got me. Like I completely feel your pain and everything. And so I actually talked to the writer before I went up there, and he kind of told me his whole life story about how, he struggled with similar things, etc. And it really just, that hurts, especially like, this is a high school girl that has no one. And so when I stepped up there, I wasn't attached to anything, and I fully like looked down and was just like, this is people actually, like, this is where they are when you hit rock bottom. It was hard, especially to have to, okay, let's do take number 2 now. And you have to kind of just keep reliving those moments. And Kevin wouldn't stop being like, okay, Kat, right foot, left foot, right foot. Because he wanted the boots. He wanted the Doc Martens, the hideous, chunky Doc Martens, to look perfect going up the ladder. And I'm like, I'm hearing 1, 2, 1, 2, but still also trying to like get emotional. I'm like, I'm thinking about my boots now, and I'm like, oh my god. And so eventually I'm like putting peppermints in my eyes, trying to make myself cry. They had to pour water bottles down my eyes because I accidentally applied like tea tree oil into my eye, like actual eyeball. Thought I was gonna go blind. But I would say that scene and the scene where I'm levitating and you see butterflies coming out of me. Well, that was shot at like 5 a.m. in the middle of the street where like literally cars are coming by and they hang me to this thing, and I'm like alone in the middle of the street. And Kevin's like, Kat, use your core, like push your legs up. And I'm like, I can't do it. And so for like 2 hours straight, I'm like trying to figure out how to hold my body hollow. So I would say those 2 things.
That was after we all were like running down that same.
After we were running miles, like. So not all glamorous.
What about you, Kennedy? What would be your most challenging scene?
Well, my scene's not as crazy, but I'd say my first one maybe would be that scene at the party. Well, it was like another one take. I think it was like a good 3-minute long scene where like I'm peeing and I'm kind of drunk, and I'm like also interacting with like the rest of the boys. I don't know. We did it like a good 5 times, and it was already like 4 a.m. and I was already super tired. So I guess that might have helped with being drunk. But yeah, that scene was pretty complicated because the one take, and also I think another scene that was pretty hard was the first scene where I'm talking to the camera, the monologue where I'm sitting on the car like smoking a cigarette. I think that one was pretty complicated because again, it was like 5 a.m. I was very cold. I'd already gone through like 7 cigarettes. So I was like, damn, I can barely even speak at this point. So yeah, it was fun though. The end result, it really worked out. It was great.
I've seen it.
Community where it's the Aziz fights Anthony. That scene was that scene was super intense. Whereas all of the guys, when fight scene breaks out, and then the glass like shatters on the floor, and that was not planned. The bottle just like fell and shattered. Like that was not supposed to happen. We're all like, was that supposed to happen? Super intense scene.
I was genuinely scared for my life. Well, not really, but like Carter
was
was his.
good too.
Yeah.
He
Anthony,
killed it. He killed it.
he was like, I was like scared. I'm like, whoa, you're really good.
I got real goosebumps.
He was so nice too that he just like pulls out this like really scary when he was with Aziz. That was really intense scene too.
That's probably one of my favorite scenes, because what I liked was the Aziz character, how he had been kind of trying to be the upbeat guy through the whole thing, and then like on a switch he just turns into this kind of like he's been holding back too long and he's just done holding back, and suddenly you had both those characters, and that was really intense. And you have a lot of those in this film. How draining is that for you, Kennedy, to go through certain scenes like that? Because there's a lot of, each one of your characters gets a very some multiple emotional kind of very strong scenes like that. Does that drain you? Does it make it tough, especially considering I'm seeing the theme of being up at 5 a.m.?
Yeah, it can definitely be draining. But luckily with those 5 a.m. shoots, we usually have like a later call time, so we have a good amount of time to get back and recalibrated.
Sure.
But yeah, when it's like really, I know Kat can probably relate to this more, but like when it's really like intensely emotional scenes, I feel like my scenes weren't like too deeply emotional, so I didn't really have to get into those states. But like when I do get into those states, it usually takes me a good couple minutes to get out of it. I got to listen to some upbeat music, Kelly Clarkson or something. Yeah.
I don't know if that's as upbeat as you could get.
No, she gets the job done though.
Hey, no judging. Every different tastes, folks. What about you, Kat? What did you do anything to kind of get yourself out? Kind of reset after doing, especially some of your heavier scenes.
Yeah, luckily, I can't say I really did much, because I have this like I can snap in and out like as fast as you want me to. I'd say I don't really get too attached to it. Like I can let it go and then come right back to it. So I would just sleep, honestly. I was just ready to sleep at the end of it all. I was just like makeup off, half of it's like off, and I'm just asleep, piled in like an Airbnb, eating sandwiches that are like soggy because I've left them out. Those types of things.
What about you, Alex? Most of your scenes, as you mentioned, you kind of were trying to be the more upbeat type guy, but for you, I imagine even being on that energy level can be draining. What do you do to kind of reset after you're done shooting for a day?
It's actually a really funny story. So I actually work my 9-to-5 job while filming that. It's such a crazy story. So I graduated from college in May, and I was like, that's it. I'm going like full sail, like finally pursuing it. I always like kind of had it on the back burner since I was, a teenager. I'm like, college is not gonna be the time. After college, I'm gonna start pursuing this, like go the full 9 yards. Then the whole COVID thing hit, and then I just got a degree in healthcare administration. So I was like, well, might as well get a job now. Who knows how long this, pandemic's gonna last. So I remember I started my new 9-to-5 corporate job where I still am. And I was 2 weeks in, and then I got the email from Kevin. They're like, you booked it. Like, can you be in LA like tonight? I'm like, I was like, this is not happening right now. So then I called my friend. I'm like, what am I gonna do? Like, I have to like leave for like 3 weeks. I'm like, I don't even know what to do. So then I was like contemplating. I'm like, do I even want to do it? Because I just got a brand new job, but like, you have this job until you get an awesome role, and then so I was just doing this whole like catch-22 thing. So then I got the call sheet. I looked at that, and it was all night shoots. I'm like, wow, this is perfect. So I could work till 5. We got set by 6, and then work till 5, and then I was on this cycle for like a little over, I think only like 7. It was only like 6 or 7 nighs, where because it was funny. My job's in Florida, so I have a 9-to-5 in Florida. But since I was in California, I was 6 to 2. So I finish work. I'd like wrap my 9-to-5 corporate job at 2, sleep for 2 hours, be usually on set by 4 to 5, wrap on set by like 5 a.m., go home, get like a power shower in, start my 9-to-5 job, 2-hour nap, cycle where I was just drawing at this because it's kind of like my first bigger role. It's my third thing, my third feature film now. So the adrenaline of that. I've never also been to California because we filmed in California. So it's just kind of being in a new environment. There was just so many things where I didn't really have time to like be tired or just like I just had to kind of stay in my A game. So it was just pure adrenaline for those 2 weeks I was there. It really was pure adrenaline. So it was like 22-hour days for a week straight where I was sleeping for like 2 hours. But you gotta do what you do for what you love, you know.
and that's what I think people miss with indie film too, is that you're doing it because it's a passion of yours and that you love it more than anything, at least, and that comes across through your characters and through your performances. And you know, I think you got a really solid film here, and I think we'll just end it with go around and let me know what you got coming up on your palette. What's next for you? So, Kat, why don't we start with you, ladies first? What do you got coming up, if anything?
Like film wise?
Yeah, film wise, project wise, whatever you want to plug.
So I just finished filming a film in Miami with actually the same half of the same crew. Where I play a completely different character. I play like the bitchy, popular, famous mean girl, which was so fun. That one is still like in the process in production. So not in production, but on the editing side.
Right.
So we'll see what comes up with that. And in the meantime, just waiting to hear back. I've got a few callbacks, just waiting to hear back from those, crossing my fingers. But yeah, that's what's coming up next. And the film is called Bugs.
Bugs, cool. Oh,
Yeah.
it sounds like it'll be a lot of fun. What about you, Kennedy? What do you got coming up for projects? Anything?
Well, yeah, I got 2 projects that I'm really excited that are coming out sometime soon. I did a feature this summer for the Asylum, so I'm pretty excited for that. There's like a lead role, so that's gonna be really cool. And I got a guest star role on the new Bel Air show that's coming out. I actually don't know when.
Oh,
but
nice.
Episode 3, you'll see me at the end saying some stuff. So stay tuned for that.
That's very cool. Okay, I know you probably can't say anything with the Asylum film, but do you take on a monster? Is there a monster involved?
There's a lot. You'll yeah. To say the least.
I have a lot of Asylum movies on my shelf. So
yeah, you're gonna really like this one if you like Asylum films.
And Alex, what about you, sir? Anything coming up?
Yeah, so besides Butterflies, I did a film last summer in Florida called Last of the Grads, which was picked up by Mutiny Pictures. We were in select theaters in New York. That's kind of all the last thing I heard. I play a bully. I bully some of the main characters. It was about an entourage of about 4 of us. So I play one of the bullies. And yeah, I filmed that in June of 2020. So it's select theaters, hopefully VOD pretty soon.
Awesome. And I just love how you all are playing characters completely different than what you had in Butterflies. Which everyone keep your eye out for Butterflies. I'll put as much information as I can on the webpage for this episode. You can catch these very talented folks as well as many others out there for an eye-opening, interesting, modern take that I likened a bit to a John Hughes type of film in spirit anyway. In that more modern, I think it'll touch a lot of folks of this generation, but still has that spirit of because I'm old, the John Hughes films that I grew up with. It kind of had that spirit. So I want to thank you all. And yeah, folks, check it out. Butterflies, hopefully coming to VOD and distribution soon.